Welcome back, guys. Today we're hoping to solve what the deal is with Emu and the Mother Flame, and where Oda is taking the story. We're going to be doing this looking at a very big clue we got recently, which is the fact Emu uses the Mother Flame close to Maryjois. It's just been revealed that York has created a weapon of mass destruction. In a conversation with BRAGO a few weeks back, he highlighted to me that the translation was not quite accurate when Emu initially said Vegapunk made the Mother Flame. Instead, it was meant to come across more like Emu was wondering about Vegapunk's involvement, indicating she didn't know who specifically made the weapon. So let's quickly look at what BRAGO's got to say about the whole Mother Flame situation before I go on to trying to solve all this.
The Mother Flame and the impact of it has been altered or changed, especially based on the information that's come out, where initially we weren't sure about its importance. We knew it was important, right? Because it was Vegapunk's magnum opus for the most part, because I think that's what he's probably going to try to use, or was going to use, to power the ancient giant, the energy source that Vegapunk wants to create, other than Punk Records and everyone sharing their energy, or knowledge rather. But the Mother Flame at this point, based on the confirmations from Emu, from the Gorosei, it is the key ingredient for them ruling the world with an iron fist. Now, I think the question comes in when we talk about this weapon, this possible ancient weapon. Were the Gorosei around back then when those ancient weapons were being used? Again, they seem to be in the dark with a bit of stuff, like not only the Nika fruit, because they knew a lot, but then they didn't. With the Mother Flame per se, it is very much still shrouded in mystery. We know York is using it as a bargaining chip at this point, because she's kind of put the Gorosei into a corner because they don't want to use or need Vegapunk or Stella, but they still need York because she wants to be a Gorosei, etc., etc. Either way, the Mother Flame seems to be an area of contention. It's just that some details still are unclear.
York traded this technology with the world government for the promise of becoming a celestial dragon. Although Vegapunk Stella clearly isn't included in this deal, it does contribute to a list of destructive weaponry developed by Vegapunk, for example the Pacifistas and Seraphim. Side note, the only other scientist we see so focused on weaponry specifically is Frankie, but check my other video on that for more. Once in the hands of the world government, the weapon was commanded by Emu to strike Maryjois, and when questioned by the Gorosei as to why that particular island was chosen, Emu replies simply that it's because it's close. Now, rather than just being some cold line about blowing up any old island because it's close to Maryjois, this actually likely means something way more important. Like super important. This is because the weapon does catastrophic damage, obliterating the islands and its inhabitants that were left there, but at what cost? Later on in the story, it is revealed that a hole is left, and we see the details of this hole reported by the Marines back to the Gorosei. The hole is almost identical to what we see at the mysterious Enies lobby. The Maryjois incident gives us an insight into what happened at Enies lobby, and it's stated that subsequent earthquakes are bigger than anything the world has experienced in recorded history. The Void Century is the most prominent era of Array's history, so from this we can assume they are implying this is the biggest event the world has seen in 800 years. Alternatively, it's possible Oda is tricking us, and it was much more recent, as we know God Valley and other events have seemingly been scrubbed from recorded history also. However, the Gates of Justice seem pretty old from their unusually colossal size, and so I doubt whatever caused the strange environment at Enies lobby was 38 years ago. So, tying this together, it appears whatever struck Maryjois is similar to whatever created the hole in Enies lobby at least 800 years ago. We know the ancient weapons were present around this time, and considering the Mother Flame's ominous shadow appearing in the sky, and that Uranus is the god of the heavens, it makes it a possible candidate. It's possible we see different versions of the ancient weapons also, such as the Sunny getting upgraded to a point where it's reminiscent of Pluton. This would work well if Vegapunk York made the Mother Flame, and Vegapunk Stella adapted the Sunny into a Pluton-like warship, both on Egghead. But how was it possible for York to make something similar to Uranus? Well, York is situated on an ancient island with future tech. This is reminiscent of the ancient yet modern looking technology on the moon, for example. Vegapunk tells us the giant mech doesn't have any holes or rivets for Vegapunk to put energy into it. This is the same as the Automata, which Enel powers up by simply electrocuting them. Vegapunk states he doesn't know how to fuel the giant mech. So, Vegapunk or York probably discovered bits and pieces of ancient tech on Egghead Island, just like the ancient mech, or potentially some rough schematics for Uranus. And so, without the electrical power source, the flame energy stated by the satellites to be used to power Egghead Island and its technology is used by York to power it. If you want more on ancient energy and electricity though, check out the theorist and Chad at Threeville, links in the description of course. This could be how we get the word flame in Mother Flame. Mother is a far more ambiguous term, as we have far less specific context for the word to be relevant. Emu could have ties to Mother, which I discuss in my video about the hero of Atreya, where I explain Emu possibly being the mother of the hero of Atreya or the hero herself. Or maybe it's closer to Elid's theories about the meaning of Maryjois and the Going Merry. Make sure to check his stuff out as well for extra content. Anyway, back to the theory. Why would the distance of using the Mother Flame matter? It's actually a surprisingly simple puzzle to solve with all this information combined. The Mother Flame is likely powered by flame, as we discussed. What is in Maryjois? A freezer. What happens to this freezer when a flame-powered superweapon is charged up and used? The freezer heats up. It might cause it to start defrosting, thawing everything inside. I've talked for almost a year now about how Emu probably keeps the straw hat and potentially other things in the freezer to preserve its will. We see evidence of this with Aikiji's conveniently named Ice Time capsule, which he uses on Saul to preserve O'Hara's will, in the form of rescuing the books of O'Hara. I've also got plenty of... I also talk about ice all the time in some of my older videos, so you've probably heard me go on about it. So, if Emu is preserving things by using the freezer, it's safe to assume she wouldn't want to heat it up too much in case it defrosts. If you take this to an extreme and the weapon was used as far away as the other side of the planet, for example, then it suggests the rise in temperature might affect far more than just the Maryjois cellar, but in fact the entire world. We see giants in prisoners' outfits, frozen under Thriller bark, and One Piece has already featured more escapes from jail and prison breaks, so it's not exactly impossible. The Yeti Cool Brothers are frozen giants guarding something, it seems, and Drum Island I've made videos on about being cut down trees that have since been frozen over. Point is, if the Mother Flame is used at great distance, the whole world might heat up, causing the ice in the world to thaw and releasing all sorts of old relics and characters into the modern world. This is why Emu had to destroy an island close to Maryjois. She didn't have a choice. Now, I'm pretty confident the blast that caused the hole in Maryjois pushed Reverse Mountain up, causing the islands and land to fire up in the air. Most importantly of which is the mysterious laugh tail. This probably went on to fall out of the sky. I also think in a twist, Uranus will be revealed to have been used by the ancient Sun Kingdom, the Eastern Kingdom, or the Monkey Kingdom as they'll be called. This will then tie into the fact that there's eternal light at Eni's lobby now, like Uranus would have used the power of the sun, and the byproduct is eternal light, which, as I say, we see at Eni's lobby. However, for more on that particular idea, you can check out my Pangea video and the explanation of how the world was created. Anyway, I know it's been brief, but hopefully this gives a bit of insight on my thoughts on what is going on with the Mother Flame, how significant it is. The fact that, in my opinion, if Blackbeard, for example, was to get Pluton, cause some stuff to go down, that's going to be peak. But if he was to take over Uranus, then he is the type of character that would use it recklessly. His penchant for destruction would mean that he probably doesn't care about the side effects or might not know about them. So if he was to use it, I think we could be seeing essentially Ragnarok. But rather than the giants coming out of the red line or out of the ground like we saw with Morley and references to clay during the Reverie, instead I think the Ragnarok will take place, as it does feature ice anyway, the traditional myth. I think it will take place with the giants coming out of ice instead. We've seen Oars frozen. Ringo in the Land of Ice is pretty mysterious. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Talking about ice, there's another video coming out which in a couple days, which is with Randy Troy talking about Kuzan and Garp and their future. So make sure to sub, keep the channel all checked out and stuff. For now, though, let me know if you think the Mother Flame can heat up the world in the comments, or the effects that might have. Thanks for making it this far. If you have, then you've just won a free smile fruit. Most people seem to like them so far. I've seen no frowning. At TLA, we have a stream soon with Chestnut and Hime, a huge Ask the Audience game show known as the Great Davy Backfight, and of course some theory videos dropping pretty much every Friday. So, see you soon, and peace.